What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Triple H podcast, Happy Hour Hoops. It's the NBA Finals. It's game one. It's a preview. Jake and Dunny, as always, joined by our recurring guest, Omari. What's up, Omari? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, ready for some NBA Finals. It's kind of like a national holiday for our NBA fans. So, uh,
Yes,
even
sir.
though,
Really is.
we already discussed the two teams that are in it, but I'm gonna be watching regardless. So, doesn't even
Let's
matter.
go. We'll have you converted to a full-time C's fan by the end of this
Oh,
game
I
preview
don't, I
here.
don't know about full time.
Yeah, not
I don't,
full-time. For
I
the
don't know,
finals. For the
part
finals.
time, part time.
Part-time. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Jake, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Yeah, me and Amari feeling similar today. This is like kind of a surreal finals to have to watch, but it's like you said, a national holiday. There's nothing better. I said the podcast the other day to Dunny. The finals feel like game sevens of the playoffs, like every single game, like the intensity, the lead up to it. The fact that we got to wait 2 days in between games just like drives it up too. We've had to wait, and this one for game one. I mean, what game seven was on Sunday, so we've had basically all week leading up to this. Feels like forever, but yeah, I can't wait to get this game going. And this series, I'm just so excited about this series in general. I'm really excited about the basketball that we're gonna get to see out of this.
Yeah, I was asking you guys how you felt off rip, just because I don't know how to deal with my emotions right now. So that's what that was about. But so yeah, let's get into series as a whole quickly. Like we'll spend a little bit of time on this, and then obviously we will get into a bunch of game one talk here. I guess yeah, just you guys. I mean you guys know who I think is gonna win the series and my prediction. But Omari, where do you think this series is gonna go? Is it gonna be competitive? Is it gonna be a blowout? What do you got?
Yeah. So I saw that ESPN has their odds are 86% for the Warrior, for not sorry, for the Celtics, and for
Crazy.
me, I feel like that's pretty high for the Celtics. Even though if I'm jumping the gun, I do think they will win, and I'm rooting for them to win, obviously. But I do think it'll be a competitive series. I think it'll go at least six. I'm hoping for a seven-game series. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, we can talk about tonight, but I think I have the Celtics in seven, hopefully. So I think the Celtics. I think for them, the defense will be pretty key. I think they have at least three really good defenders that can challenge their top three scorers for the Warriors, and really make it a challenge. So even if they do win tonight, I do think it'll be a back and forth series. Both teams will answer, punches. They'll counter punch, but I think in the end, for me, it'll be the Celtics.
Yeah, I'm with you on Celtics and seven. I think this is going seven no matter what. I don't. And once you get to a game seven, who knows? Like we know that in a series. But this just feels like a style clash. These two teams are very good defensively, very good, stout defensive teams, whatever. But offensively, they're going to attack you in much different ways. The motion of Golden State is really going to test the Celtics, defensive. What's the word I'm looking for? Their structure, their positioning, their discipline. I think as much as anything else, seeing how Marcus Smart and Derek White chase Curry and Poole around screens all game, because it's going to be a lot more running for them, and that's a hobbled Smart. I mean, we don't know what he's going to look like with a couple days rest and everything, but last we saw him, definitely hobbled. So those guys are going to get put to the test. But I also think that Brown and Tatum are going to put the wings to the test for the Warriors. We know Gary Payton is coming back tonight, but what is he really going to be? I mean, conditioning is not going to be all the same. And in his first game in the NBA Finals, and that's obviously that's
broken elbow too.
Yeah, like it's a tough ass to guard those guys. Then you're talking Wiggins is going to be a key, obviously, for that. I saw a lot of people talking about Otto Porter, whether he's coming back or not. I don't think Otto Porter could do shit against those guys. I don't consider him a strong defender against those guys. So I really feel like the stars offensively for both teams kind of are going to put a lot of pressure on the defensive strengths of both of these teams. And it's going to be such an interesting chess match. Like, you can't say enough about Steve Kerr as a coach, right? Like, his resume speaks for itself at this point. But Ime Udoka has shown throughout this playoff run and throughout this season that he is not afraid to make adjustments. He's really smart with his adjustments within series, even within game. So the chess match is what's going to be really interesting to me. I just think the Celtics are a better team overall. I just think they've got more dudes. I think that they're more solid throughout their roster. This is time where it's going to go down to like 7 guys a game, basically, when you're in the finals. And I like the Celtics 7 or 8 better than I do the Warriors 7 or 8 as a whole. So that's what I'm going with it as. Obviously been super high on both these teams all year long, but I think I'm leaning towards the Celtics in 7, even if it's on the road, because we saw them been able, obviously a game 7 on the road and a game 6 do or die on the road already.
They're 7-2 this year on the road in the playoffs.
Damn, that's fire. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm in agreement with you guys. Obviously, I for some reason have this weird hunch that it's Celtics in 6, so I'm sticking with that because that's what I've been saying. But I also would enjoy a game 7, obviously. Even though it's on the road, like you guys were just talking about, I would still have some confidence just because of what they're able to do. I would appreciate / like if they, could be a little more consistent at home here in the playoffs, but we won't complain if they're getting it done on the road. They are in the finals. Beggars can't be choosers, but it's very important on this stage to protect home court. So we'll see where that goes in game 3 and 4. But I like that you kind of brought up those 3 guys in question, Jake, because on the radio before we hopped on, I heard a Steve Kerr presser right before the game, and he was talking about, I guess all 3 of those guys are available, Iggy, Otto Porter, and the Glove 2.0. I guess they all scrimmaged yesterday and felt fine this morning, is what Kerr said. He was kind of beating around the bush when reporters were trying to ask, like, what playing time might look like for those guys, or, Peyton with the injury and how that's bothering him and so forth. So, not really sure what to expect as roles go for those guys tonight. But, kind of what you were saying, I don't know how much Gary Payton helps them in this series. Like, they probably only see a guy like that on the court if we have Peyton Pritchard out there, because otherwise he's kind of a matchup nightmare. I know he's a good defender. I know he's Gary Payton's son, but if both the Jays are on the court and Peyton's out there, that's going to be, they're going to try to attack him relentlessly, get guys to switch on to him and just go. So, I don't know how much he moves the needle. Otto Porter was pretty solid in the last 2 rounds for the Warriors. Iguodala scares me the most, but he's old and he hasn't been playing. Like, what do his legs look like? I'm not doubting the Finals MVP, but I don't even know how much run.
Don't even bring up that Finals MVP. Get that weak ass Finals MVP out of here. Fraud Finals MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Hey, I'm not.
Yeah, Iguodala. What's the Iguodala odds on Finals MVP for holding Tatum to 30, 10, and 10 in this series? Is that what we're gonna get?
Yeah.
I really want to know what the Warriors are going to do to try to defend the Celtics. I know what the Celtics are going to try to do with the Warriors. Like, we can kind of visualize that, right? Like, they're going to be physical. They're going to send those guys around screens with Curry and Poole and Clay and everything. They've got a size advantage. They have a clear size advantage. I mean, a clear size advantage. And guys that have size, but like Robert Williams, the biggest guy on the floor, we know what he can do guarding guards. Like, I've seen guards test him all year long and regret it immediately. Doing that. What are the Warriors going to do to guard? Like, Mari, what do you think the Warriors can do to guard the Celtics? Like, what do you expect from them?
A lot of offense.
Just shooters.
A lot of offense. Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, that's. I don't want to say that's their only hope, but I mean, they are out. They have the disadvantage when it comes to size, outside and inside, because, like you said, Robert Williams, and I was thinking earlier, even Al Horford, and Boston doesn't really have to worry about the Warriors spacing the floor, because we know Kevon Looney's not going to be out there. So even if coming off of a screen, even if Curry does a dribble drive and he gets to the hole, he's got somebody there in the paint at all times to even try to, defend the shot. So for me, it'll be, like I said, a lot of offense. They're going to do what they do. They're going to do their pin down screens and their backdoor cuts and try to get Curry open, because he moves a lot, which for me is a concern, because we don't know how Marcus Smart and his ankle is going to hold up. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to get injured again, but that's a lot of movement that he has to worry about when it comes to Curry. But I mean, they've got the size and they've got the defenders to do it. But that, for me, that's their only hope. Again, I don't want to say only hope, but we know they can run the score up. We know they can run the score up, and I mean the third quarter Warriors might as well be the 31st NBA team. So I mean, if the Boston Celtics can hold them from that, then obviously they have a chance. So
yeah, that is the best defense is a good offense, right? I think exactly. That you're onto it. I think the pace is what the Warriors are really gonna push, and the Celtics love a good pace too. They like getting out in transition and everything, but the Warriors really thrive in there. And if the Celtics, we've seen them multiple times in these series get really sloppy with the ball. Now the Warriors for the last 7 years that's like one of their Achilles heels. They turn the ball over like crazy too. But the Celtics have been very prone in this playoffs, and this is the last team. And the Celtics have also been prone to getting big leads and then obviously big swings in these games and everything. Like you said, third quarter Warriors, we know what they can do and go on those runs, but they can really like. It's the suddenness of these stretches with the Warriors where it can be a 10-point lead and then in a minute and a half you're down like 5 and you're just like, what the hell just happened? So yeah, I like that like the pace and just the offense like that feels like a thing that Kerr could be saying is like, listen, we're not going to out defense these guys. They're bigger, they're more physical, they're just as good defensively as us, so let's go do what we do best and go shoot the hell out of the ball. And that might just work for 4 games.
I wonder. Yeah, I was gonna say really quick. I think for them, the Celtics will be the biggest challenge for them these playoffs, just because of their defense. I listened to a bunch of sports radio, and I was hearing that their biggest challenge was the 2016 Cavaliers when we showed them really the blueprint and how to be physical with Steph Curry and really just agitate him and get in his face the entire time, and we saw how that worked out, which is why I think Marcus Smart will be perfect. And I mean, he already has the numbers to back it up since he's been in the league. But Marcus Smart would be super key, obviously, defending Steph Curry coming off those screens, picking him up 94, even if he has to do that. So it'd be very, very physical. They've got the blueprint. If they follow that, then I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, and going off that, someone who I knew was a good perimeter defender, and I liked it, just all around good defender actually. Derek White, someone we brought in at the trade deadline, had kind of a shaky start to the playoffs, really found his groove at the end of that Miami series. But a reason that I know Derek White is going to be important for the Celtics in this series is because of the way he defended Tyler Hero when he was in the game for the Miami Heat. Whenever Derek White was out there, he was chasing Hero around on the three-point line. He did it to Strus as well, when Strus was trying to come off screens or free up and get off his man to get a three-point shot. There was a few times where Derek White was blocking those guys from behind or just so up in their grill that they couldn't even think about getting a shot off, let alone even getting the pass. So I think, even when Smart needs a breather and comes out for a blow and Steph Curry's still running around out there, having a guy like Derek White in this series is just absolutely huge for that reason.
Yeah, what a great guy to have off the bench as the replacement coming in, or even he's going to probably get a lot more time with that final lineup, depending on what Rob's health and everything else. I could see the counter to that too, because those two guys, like you said, so good at running around those screens. And Amari, like you said, Smart, so good at picking up guys full court and putting that pressure on Curry. But if they want to go, if the Warriors counter is to just go super small and it's Draymond, Wiggins, Poole, Clay, Curry, which Kerr hasn't liked as much because teams have started picking on Poole a lot defensively. And I think the Celtics would do the same thing too. But then you got three of those shooters running around. And then it's another game, and then it's like a numbers game of one of those guys is probably going to get loose, and that's all it really takes. It's just, the chess match is just so interesting. Amari, before we move on to like this game or move on to anything else, do you have any words of advice for our friend Dunny here, as we have extreme experience in seeing the Warriors in 4 straight NBA finals, obviously, as both Cavalier fans? I've meant to put up my Cavs picture back here. I forgot from the last podcast. I've got the block. I felt like that was going to be good vibes, but it's still over there. It's still in the back corner there. But do you have any advice as a fan for our friend here who is about to endure a Steph Curry experience in the NBA finals, which is unlike anything else?
3 words: don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable. I don't care if you're up 20. I don't care if you're up 30. Do not get comfortable. And even if you win by 30, that's only one game.
Yeah.
That's my advice. That's probably
That
the
is
best
the
thing I
best
could say.
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be uncomfortable all these next 2 weeks here, so
Yeah.
won't have to worry about that.
It really is. Like you could, there are plenty of those games where the Cavs were up 11, 12, 15 throughout the third, even into the fourth, and then it was just not. It just wasn't. This team just flicks it on like nothing I've ever seen in my life. The suddenness is really, that's the word that I will keep using. The suddenness. You're just like, what the hell? The thing about it, I'm interested though, because this Chase crowd is not like Oracle, but it is the finals. So what this crowd, I'm expecting a very good crowd there in San Francisco tonight.
It'll be
very
loud.
engaged.
All they need is a little bit of momentum, and all you hear is that damn stupid Warriors chant that they do all the time.
Yeah.
God, I hate it. I get PTSD whenever I hear that. But yeah, they're going to be loud regardless, even if it's not Oracle. Which, really enough, I miss Oracle. It's weird. It's something about that place is just really.
I kind of do
intimate.
too.
Yeah, they obviously ended it on a kind of a high note. Obviously, they lost their last series there, but they had a lot of success in the end. But no, that crowd's going to get into it no matter what. They go on a run, especially in the third quarter. 20-2 run, they'll get really loud, really fast.
So, yeah, I'm glad you guys actually brought up the Chase Center because I would have forgot about this otherwise. I want to ask you guys this as unbiased. Well, I mean, I know you guys are both kind of leaning Celtics in this series, but unbiased for the most part in this series. Colin Cowherd on his show the other day was like just going through what team has the advantage in different categories. You know, he was breaking down like just defensively, shooters, this and that, bench. And then he said home court advantage. And I understand the records would speak otherwise because the Warriors have been money at home this entire playoffs. And the Celtics have been a little up and down, which is a little abnormal for the Celtics. But wouldn't you guys agree that the Boston Garden crowd is better than Chase Center? Or am I
would argue that. I think
if I'm looking at a big game,
is it closer than I think?
No, I think if the Cavs were like going on a big game on the road, I'd be more scared of Boston than I would be Golden State or San Francisco.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just a completely useless little fucking talking point that I wanted to bring up, but it bugged me for
the thing about Boston,
for whatever reason.
The thing about Boston that's my favorite part about their game presentation is there's no extra shit. Like they have like the little clapping thing a little kind of in the background, but there's no songs, there's nothing. It feels like an old school classic basketball game. You don't get that in a lot of places. Like Chicago was like that. Cleveland not like that at all. Cleveland's just bumping, making noise all over the place, making sound effects and shit like that, which I like that too. Like there's
Barkley's
it works though.
It does work. Yeah. It gets you hyped. It really does.
Barkley's plays like Jay-Z and Biggie all game,
which is sick. Like that. Like I like the flavors. Cool. I like the flavors that you can add into the different things. But yeah, like there's just something about the old school feel in Boston. You see the feel, you see the green everywhere. Like that's way more scary to me than the Warriors, even with all the finals.
Mm-hmm.
The Garden still has like KG and like Paul Pierce's face pop up on the Jumbotron and them yelling like make some noise. And then, like that's like the extent of our like added crowd noise.
So let's get into game one. We got a game tonight, obviously in about 35 minutes. I don't know if they're tipping right at 9. There's no way they're tipping right at
9:07 is what I saw.
Okay. So they gave us some time. They gave us a time actually.
Yeah, they gave us.
It's gonna be a long 2 weeks. I'm not ready,
bro. Yeah, no. I mean, I can't even complain. It's at least an hour earlier for me, but shit, still like ending games at 10:30. That's a rough night. But 9:00 Eastern tip. The line right now is Warriors -3.5. It's been floating around 4 and 3 all day today, but I think it's settled right here at 3.5. Over under 214. Game one thoughts, Amari. I'll start with you, then we'll go to Dunny and bring it back around here. Anything different from game one that you're thinking that's different from what we just talked about for the whole series?
No, I'm very interested to see what the Celtics defense, what their game plan is to attack the Warriors offense, especially Steph Curry. Klay Thompson, he's been kind of inconsistent. He's been better lately, especially in that Dallas series. But he's kind of been inconsistent. So I'm not going to say that I'm not going to worry about him because I am. You still have to, even, at his age and after the injuries. But I think if you can limit their offense to just one person, even if you let Steph Curry go off and get 30, if you can limit Thompson and you can limit especially Jordan Poole, who's kind of cooled off since the beginning of the playoffs, then I think you have a great chance. But for game one, you said the line is 3.5. I do think the Warriors cover, and I do think they win. Um, I'm not really good at guessing scores, but I do think the Warriors win. But I do think it'll be a close game. Like I said, because I do have faith in the Celtics defense. But with the Warriors coming out game one, they have the finals experience. They have the home crowd starting off. So I think that kind of gets them pumped up. They have the momentum going. But yeah, so I think they win game one. But it'll be a close one. But they do cover.
Love that.
I got
Yeah, so the last two series would lead me to believe that the Celtics are going to drop the first game because they lost the first game at Boston, but against Milwaukee. Then they lost the first game in Miami. But I think this is a time for them to like turn it around. I'm sure, they know that they lost those two games starting the last two series. They have all this energy from game 7. If they can come out even close to the way they did against the Miami Heat in game 7, I think that's exactly what they need tonight. It's, to me, at least for the Celtics, I know the Warriors can really explode at any moment, but if the Celtics come out lackadaisical in the first quarter, they're going to lose. But I see them coming out hot. I think Boston's taking game 1. Yeah, I like it. I like the points too. I mean, if you're gambling and you think the Warriors are going to win, I do like this line. 3.5 seems doable if you think it's a close game, but you like the Warriors. I think the Celtics cover the spread regardless. But yeah, I think Celtics outright.
Man, this has been tough all day. I'll start with the
JT
over under.
game, by the way.
Oh yeah, I think it's a big JT. I mean, it's been a big JT playoffs, but this is going to be a huge series for him just because, like we talked about earlier, I don't really know. Like I don't know who's checking these guys, and we know Brown, the trouble he's going to get into. It's going to be turnovers. It's going to be inconsistent shooting. I don't see that happening from Tatum in this. I do have the Warriors for game 1 as well. I don't know about the spread. Oh man, it's such a tough line right at 3.5. I really think this is going to be a classic game 1, though. I think this is going to be an incredible game. These teams, it's a rest versus rust thing, which is kind of what I was worried about picking with the Warriors. They've been sitting for a while. When was game 5 of that series? It feels like it was a month ago when they finally got rid of the Mavs. So it's been a minute since they were on the court. Maybe it was last Thursday. Maybe it was only a week ago, whatever.
Yeah, I think they had exactly a week.
Yeah, so that is quite a bit of time though, and then to enter in the finals. I do like the Celtics getting out to an early lead. So if you're talking like real degenerate gamer and stuff, I do like Celtics first half, Celtics first quarter. I do think that's a thing, but I think the Warriors adjustments and just like the home crowd and like you said, the experience and everything, I think that does enough for game 1. The Warriors regardless of what the Celtics have done in game 1s, the Warriors in game 1s over this entire run, I don't remember what the stat is, but they have like some kind of crazy record in game 1s. Like I think they only have 2 losses in game 1s or something along the lines of that coming out of this. So they come out and really smack teams in the face. It's just because there's not a team like them that you will run into. Like it's not even just like, I mean, like Curry is just dealing with Curry in a series is unlike anything else. And then you add in Poole and Thompson as shooters along the side of him too. It's just, there's not a collection of shooting that is like that. And Draymond is such a unique challenge to defend because like you're not going to be worried about his shooting, obviously. And I think the Celtics are going to like embarrassing go out of their way to leave him alone.
Oh, they
like
will.
we're going to see
They've
like
done it in
people
years
20
past,
feet away from Draymond. But his playmaking ability is underrated. I think still among a bunch of casual people that will just be really tuning in to see this NBA Finals series, whatever. If you haven't paid attention closely to the Warriors this year, he is on another level from a playmaking ability. So I do think that he's going to be able to have that effect in a game 1. I think it's going to be close. I'll take the Celtics spread. I think we're getting a really, really good game tonight. I'm going under that 214. I think these defenses are going to show out. The Warriors get one really big run that kind of puts them just enough out of reach. Celtics battle back to get it close, but but the Warriors pull it out. But I still think that's been the recipe for the Celtics in this whole playoffs, right? Nothing's coming easy. Ime said the other day in an interview, it wouldn't be us if we were going to do it any other way than the hard way. And so that's what it feels like here. Drop game 1 at home. The playoff series don't start until the road team wins a game on the road, wins a game. So I think going into game 2, if the Celtics do lose this one, they'll come out on top game 2 and vice versa. I think no matter what, we're going back 1-1. That's going to be my prediction. But I do think the Warriors get it tonight. Who we got in reffing tonight? I think it's Mark Davis. How do you feel about Mark Davis seeing that? Any opinions? I don't like Mark Davis that much, but it's not as bad as a Foster or a Zarba, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was cool with the
Kane Fitzgerald. Is that his name?
Yeah.
At least he's not him either.
He's special too. He's sneaky. He really is. Kane will do the thing where he'll call like 4 fouls like back to back to like get the game in the way he wants to go. That's another thing with this. I'm wondering how physical they're gonna let them be, because we've seen like they'll really, and I've heard on a podcast this week them talk about it too with refs, that they will get together and be like, are we going to let this be chippy in game 1? Are we going to let them be physical? Not chippy, but let them be physical, let them get away with more? Or do we want to call it tight and keep it clean the whole way? And that tone's going to get set right away, because the Celtics are going to try to be physical right away, like off the rip. So if they're getting, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and Draymond's going to push the envelope. He's going to push those buttons and try to get away with those calls. And the tricky thing for me, I've never liked calling a technical foul on him, especially early, because they're not going to call that second technical foul and eject it from the game, especially for a playoff game. So for me, that'll be kind of key to see how much they let Draymond get away with. And like you said, to see how physical they get, not necessarily chippy. But if you got people fighting over screens and you got people flopping, are you going to call that, or are you just going to let it go? So that'll be very important, especially game 1 in Golden State, where that crowd's going to get rowdy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like are there early fouls on Smart chasing people? Like if he gets like 2 blocking fouls early or 2 reaches early, like weak reaches, something like that, we'll know like the defense is going to have to change for the Celtics. That's going to favor the Warriors. Go ahead, Donnie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just bringing up the chippiness and maybe the drama that we might get early. I'm hoping for that tonight, because I think it's inevitable in this series when you have personalities like Draymond, like Marcus Smart, even Grant Williams. Like, he's turning into one of those guys a little bit who will get up in someone's face and certainly doesn't keep his mouth shut. He talks all game long, whether it's to teammates, refs, opponents. And I said this to Jake last week, Amari, but you better believe I'm anticipating a Grant Williams, Draymond Green beef of some sort during this series. Like, I can just see it now. Like, they're putting their foreheads together, like both just speaking gibberish in each other's faces. I'm excited for that. I think it's going to be great, and I think it's a given. That's something I'm anticipating. I think it's a given that we will have one of those with Draymond and Marcus Smart as well.
What's the over/under on technical fouls this game 1?
I don't know.
I'm setting it at 1.5. What do we think?
Over.
Over
for sure.
Let's go.
I think it's over.
Hopefully 2 of those for the Warriors.
You were talking about Grant and Draymond, and then media day the other day, Grant is talking about how Draymond is his favorite player ever, and he was like in 2015 was like talking shit to all his friends when the Warriors won because he loves Draymond so much. So there's no doubt in my mind that Grant is gonna try to pull Draymond shit all series long. Can he pull it off? I don't know if he can pull it off as much, but Grant is going to be the most annoying motherfucker in the world if you're not a Celtics fan going into this, for sure, and is just in general.
Yeah, man. Grant Williams is
he's something else. He really is.
And like within Celtics fans too, like it's so funny. My friend Austin, actually, he's very active in Celtics Twitter. Honestly. Potentially could be listening right now, but I'm sure he's sweating out the nervousness on the couch right now. I can't remember if it was the beginning of this. I think it was the very beginning of this season. He had an awesome tweet that he quote tweeted today to bring back up, and it was like, Grant Williams' ceiling is literally Draymond Green, and his floor could be out of the league next year. And like, I wholeheartedly agreed with that at the beginning of the season, and now like I don't think it's possible where we see Grant Williams out of the league, because even if he leaves the Celtics, I think Grant's a guy who could play on any squad just for the multitude of things that he brings to the table. But I mean, this is a guy who Celtics fans hated Like me and Jake have a mutual friend, Brett. Like Brett hated Grant Williams for like the
He
longest
really
time.
did.
People are like, he can't defend. He came in the league missing his first 28 threes, I believe. I think he went 0 for 28. And now he's a sharpshooter. Like he shot over 40% from three this year.
That's nuts.
So Grant Williams has been an experience for Celtics fans, and now that he has like this pivotal role on a finals team, all of this is pretty surreal. But Grant Williams has been a roller coaster.
What's the likelihood that Grant Williams gets a big baby game like the 08 finals? We gonna get that out of Grant?
Very possible, especially because Ime before the game announced a not so formal minutes restriction on Robert Williams. He said he doesn't have a minutes restriction, but we're going to try to keep him around 20. So, so it sounds like he has a minutes restriction. So yeah, I think moving forward, Grant Williams could have a couple big games in this series. We saw what he did in Game 7 in Milwaukee, or against Milwaukee.
I can't wait to see Al Horford in the NBA Finals. Talk about a guy that deserves to be there. That is going to be such a treat. He's got to be so happy today. I'm sure all these guys are thinking about that too. Like Al has done everything in this league, really. That's a guy I'm really happy for to see. There's no point to that.
I'll be happy for him, but not his sister.
Understandable,
man.
Understandable.
Oh my god,
I still don't like her.
Yeah, I'm Team Anna. Just she's a green teamer. She's Al's sister. I'll ride with Anna, but I can understand how people from other cities would find her very annoying.
Yeah, I'm out on her. What are the odds on an Ayesha Curry tweet again in this? If the series goes downhill, we gonna get another outburst? She has really never seen it again, other than that one time. Yeah. But that was the best moment. I think that was my favorite part of the 2016 was the Steph.
I still
the mouth guard throw.
Yeah, I still see that tweet to this day. And it doesn't even have to be a Warriors game. Live. It could be anything.
Yeah.
This game is rigged. Look, I'm gonna be tweeting that out if the Warriors win. This game is rigged. For
Tagger.
If the Warriors win tonight, Amari, me and you, right? We should both at the same time just go find that tweet. Just be like,
I'm gonna be angry tweeting into the morning.
Yeah. So as the Cavs fans here, I will have to say I have hated both these teams at multiple points in my life, but I can't cheer. I can't cheer for the Golden State Warriors ever.
I
think that's where I'm at. It's just too hurtful.
I'm happy to have you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love some
Look,
backup.
the Celtics are the lesser of the two evils. So
exactly.
Also, getting off topic of game one here, but that's okay. I kind of want your guys' opinion on this. Maybe I'm wrong. It could just be, fuck the Celtics for everyone who's always hated them. But I'm kind of under the impression that more people outside of the city of Boston have been gravitating towards the Celtics with this core group. Like, I feel like people really, really hated the Celtics with like during the Rondo, KG, like the big three era. And then like even after that, like people hated like the IT led teams. For some reason, I feel like more people outside of the city of Boston like really gravitate towards Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, like the whole star element. They're young, homegrown. I know everyone loves the whole build through the draft narrative. Am I wrong about that? Do you guys think? I feel like on NBA Twitter, the Celtics seem to be a little more liked this time around.
Go ahead, Amari.
No, you brought up the building through the draft, and I think you're accurate with that. I think that people are attracted to the how natural it is, how organic it is, and like you said, everything was built through the team, and it all kind of stems back to that 2013 trade with the Nets. Crazy enough, I mean, they get Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in back-to-back years. I mean, and I think people also recognize how good Ime Udoka is as well. I think people understood the limitations that they had being led by Brad Stevens. He's out. They bring in Ime Udoka. We see the transformation that they take even during the season. And for me personally, like I said, I'm a Duke fan. I've been a Duke fan since I was a kid. So I'm a Jason Tatum fan, regardless. I hated that he was drafted to Boston. I will say that. Because, I mean, if I want to see him win, that means most likely the Celtics are winning. But with that being said, I obviously want to see Jason Tatum win. But no, I think you're right with that. I think a lot of people are more gravitated towards this team because, like you said, they are young. They have a lot of energy, and they're battle tested even for how young they are. I mean, they had to go through LeBron in 2018, or try to go through LeBron in 2018. They had to go through Giannis. They had to go through Jimmy Butler, who was trying to make their second finals appearance in just 3 years. So even though they're young, they have the experience, not the finals experience, but they have the playoff experience, and we'll see what they do against the Warriors. But I do agree with that statement, because even though I live in Cleveland, I'm a Cavs fan, I do understand.
Amari, I knew we were friends for a reason, because I'm also a Duke guy, and that's my main reason. I love Jason Tatum.
Yep.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is I've always just loved him, loved his story. I think he's just like a great guy in general. Like, I've thought that since coming in. So I was really excited to see where he would end up, and have followed him along, obviously, very closely since then. Same with Jaylen Brown. Like, Jaylen Brown is just an incredible human being on top of anything, but always just loved his game, loved his tenacity and everything else. And I think those two in general, like, they're really magnetic personality, and it's really hard to just like find reasons to honestly, both of these teams, it's really hard to find reasons to dislike them unless they like hurt you.
I can agree with that,
because like the Warriors, like that's been the thing with the Warriors for me for so long. It's like, obviously they've hurt me so many times, but I've never really disliked Curry as much. Like, Draymond is one thing, like but that's just the antics and everything. I love Draymond as like the podcast guy, like breaking down the games, calling out people. Like, those are the things I love about Draymond. Who doesn't love Klay Thompson? I mean, the Jordan Poole story is amazing. Dude was in the G League last year, and now he's a bona fide all-star, potential superstar. So I think there's a lot of likable guys in all these teams. But we're talking about the Celtics, like especially Brown and Tatum. Al Horford too. Like, who doesn't like Al Horford? Everybody loves him in NBA circles and everything. So yeah, and definitely the homegrown talent, being through the battles. Like, we've seen this team through so many battles at this point. This same core, Smart included, Horford included. So to finally see them on this moment, I think is really cool for NBA fans who have been following along and seeing it and seeing how it's played out, because you just don't see that a lot with a lot of teams. Like, the teams blow it up, or teams make some big trade, big splash, or try to tank and rebuild or whatever. And this Celtics team just has never done that. And Dunny, we talked about that on the pod the other day, giving credit to Brad Stevens, giving credit to Danny Ainge, who could have blown this up multiple times before he left along. And that's the same thing with the Warriors too. Like, they've obviously had a rough couple years and everything, and stayed the course, trusted that Klay was going to be able to come back, trusted in their development and all these young guys that are going to be huge contributors in this series. When you're talking about a Poole or a Payton or Kuminga, who might have a big role in the series. We talked about defensively, who's going to have options. If Porter's not doing it, if Iggy can't go, if Payton's still hurt, we're going to see Kuminga in some important matchups. And so, yeah, I really like teams that go out and develop. And these coaches are incredible coaches as well. If you didn't read the Ringer story on Ime Udoka, I encourage you both to go read that, because I didn't know a lot of his like personal story growing up. He got hit by a bus when he was 4 years old. Like, that whole story about that, everything, and just his upbringing and everything else that he kind of went through. Incredible story. I was already a fan of Ime before that, but even a bigger fan. And then obviously, if you watch The Last Dance or done anything else, you know Steve Kerr's story and everything else.
Yeah.
Both guys you could root for as coaches too. So I think both these teams are super likable, and that's going to help with the ratings. That's going to help with casual teams. Like, there's going to be a lot of people
super likable, but I get.
Well, you know. I mean,
I get your point.
I'm trying from the unbiased perspective.
I got you.
We're not likable here, but I think there's a lot that people can latch onto, like if you're just tuning into this series because you just want to watch the NBA Finals, for sure.
You know what, I will admit, the year I like Kerr overall, but the year that he won Coach of the Year, when he missed like 70% of the season with his back,
Yeah.
I was so hot for like 2 months about that, dude. Because I think Brad Stevens was second in votes. Because that was the year that we shocked the world with Isaiah Thomas, and he was like, 3 in MVP voting or whatever it was. And then they hand out Coach of the Year to a guy who literally was at home for almost the entire year. Obviously, the Warriors were fantastic that season. What else is new? But that is just one personal vendetta that I have against Steve Kerr.
Shout out new Cavalier Luke Walton for really guiding
True.
the Warriors during that time. He had some crazy record. Wasn't it like he was like 41-4 or something, because they were just so ridiculous. It was like, Luke Walton, man, this guy's got it locked. Like, nah, this team is just crazy.
And he's like 4-200 head coaching everywhere else.
Oh, poor guy. He's got some rough run. All right, any other thoughts for game one before we go here? We got 20 minutes until tip.
I did want to ask you guys, game one, just for game one, who's biggest X factor tonight? It can be from either team. Give me one biggest X factor tonight.
Go ahead, Amari.
For me, I want to say Marcus Smart, but I think it's more so Jaylen Brown. He's been inconsistent when it comes to his offense. We've seen the turnovers. The Celtics as a whole cannot get into turnover trouble because you cannot give the Warriors extra opportunities to put up 3-pointers and shoot you out of a game, especially if it's the third quarter. We all know how they operate. So for me, it'll be Jaylen Brown on both ends of the floor, but definitely offensively. If Jason Tatum's going to give you 30 to 35, I'm hoping Jaylen Brown could give you 20 to 25. Like, do something, shoot the ball efficiently, have at least 20 to 25 points to kind of help him out, especially if you want to keep it close. So for me, it's Jaylen Brown.
I love that pick. I'll go the other side then. It's my X factor for the whole series. It's Andrew Wiggins. What Wiggins is going to show up. This man has shown that he can show up in big playoff performances in the last couple series. He's going to have a huge defensive responsibility in this series with the wings and the size that he's going to be dealing with, especially if they play small and he's playing a small ball 4 against, Brown, Tatum, Horford, potentially Williams all on the floor at the same time. But his shooting as well, because they're gonna the Celtics are gonna be selling out to stop Curry. We know how good of shooters Poole and Thompson can be. I almost said Clay, but I think Wiggins is more important just because of his impact defensively. I think Clay has lost a step defensively. He's not going to be the focus for the Warriors defensively. He's not going to be getting like the A+ assignments like he would have been a couple years ago. A lot of pressure on Wiggins. I think he can play. I think he can do it. But we just haven't seen him obviously in this position. And this is way more pressure than I think he's had in the last 2 series. So I'm really interested to see what Wiggins is going to be able to do.
Yeah, I completely agree with Wiggins. I think Wiggins, this is something me and you have talked about, a couple different times now, Jake. And I think Wiggins will be an X factor for the series for the Warriors. Tonight, my X factor is Big Al Horford. First NBA Finals appearance, like we talked about. It took him 140 playoff games to get here. Everyone's, kind of saying, what about the Celtics? They're a young team. Are there going to be nerves? First time this group's been in the finals. Al has always been that steady hand when the Celtics come out slow. He's that guy to have the calming presence. He can score. He can keep them in games when the Jays aren't getting it going. I think Al's going to be huge. Like I mentioned, Rob Williams is on this weird minutes restriction. That's not really a minutes restriction. And I don't believe in Looney. And Draymond's undersized. Like, they really don't have rim protection. If Horford's out there and they have that death lineup out there, that's going to be Al Horford post-ups all day long. Give me Al Horford in this game as the X factor.
Yeah, and Al shooting too. Like, if they leave him, if they're not worried about him shooting, if he's hitting those open threes, it opens up a whole new dynamic for the Celtics offense. I almost picked Al. I wanted to go Warriors guy.
They'll have to guard the entire floor if he's out there because he can space the floor and shoot. So on top of the size advantage.
Derek White's shooting is very underrated in this whole series and this game too, because if he's hitting open threes, he's been struggling on and off with his shot basically since he got to the Celtics. But if he can just string together 6-7 good games in a row shooting the ball, they're such a different team offensively, because he's really the only guy. I mean, besides Rob, he's really the only guy in that lineup that I don't trust shooting a 3 when it goes up. Every time Derek White puts up a 3, I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. So I want that to turn around, and I think that could be huge for them too. Any other thoughts before we go here so we can get settled in?
Yeah, no, I got to go pass out in my living room.
Mari, anything? Any final thoughts?
No, I'm gonna go drink some coffee because I know I'm gonna be up late tonight trying to watch the game. So.
I was about to say I'm about to go get a Pepsi or something from the store on the road. I need some caffeine going.
Let's go, guys.
All right. Well, that'll do it. Game 1 of the final starting in about 15-20 minutes. It's gonna be a blast. We'll be here covering it all the next 2 weeks. So stay locked. Follow us at Happy Hour Hoops 1. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Amari, let's get your handle up here at Amari_M17, at DonovanHolt97, at your friend Jake. Follow us there. Enjoy game 1. Have a great night, folks.
Go Celtics.
Yeah, good luck, Dunny.